Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the Big 12 Reloaded, the NCAA House Settlement. We're going to talk about my wide receiver playlist for all the wide receiver groups that I deem as the top in the nation. We're going to also break down one last surprise segment for you on this jam-packed episode of World of CFB. You was looking for your latest plug on everything that you needed to know in the college football world? Look no further, my friend. Let's get into it. This is the world of college football. Welcome to the show, my friend. It's great to have you here on another late night Tuesday in the summertime. Hopefully, everybody's staying safe out there. We got wacky weather going crazy right now. Make sure you stay safe. This is the world of college football. We spotlight the whole entire globe of college football. If you lace them up, put on the cleats, man. You buckle the chin strap. We're gonna make sure that you are covered. And on tonight's episode, it's gonna be special because I'm getting up there, man, in episodes. I appreciate everybody tuning into the content and watching it, sharing it, telling a friend about it. It's a lot of love going on, and it's all for the love of college football. We really do feel like college football is the greatest sport on the face of this planet. So that's why we got to cover it like it. Today, we're not going to waste no time, my friend. We had a landmark thing that just happened and dropped a bombshell, I should say. I'm talking about the NCAA versus the House settlement. Let's get to it because we got a lot to discuss. The date that you need to know is June 1st. A federal judge just greenlit the biggest shift in sports and really the biggest shift that the sport has ever seen. Bigger than NIL, bigger than the transfer portal, bigger than really any moment. And college athletes are now in a position to sign contracts as stakeholders in the game that they bleed for. And it all starts on July the 1st, where schools can and will pay players directly. No boosters, no shady collectives, real payroll, real power. Welcome to the revenue era, ladies and gents. So let's run this story all the way back because for years now, college athletes heard the same line over and over again. We can't pay you. You're amateurs. Be grateful for a scholarship. But while they practice in 100-degree temperatures, the NCAA stacked billions upon billions of dollars. While they limped on the field, the networks fought tooth and nails to cut nine-figure checks for the big boys. And eventually, those lawsuits started coming out and knocking, led by the House versus the NCAA, a case that blew this whole entire thing to a whole new stratosphere. Faced with risk of losing about 10 billion in court, yeah, billion with a B, the NCAA was in a guns duel and said, you know what? Can we stare down the clip of the barrel? Nah, they blinked. And what happened? They settled into a nuclear shift for the sport of college football and really athletics in college sports. So here is more that you need to know about this historic deal. It's a $2.8 million in back pay to athletes from 2016 to 2024. So if you played during that time, expect a friendly direct deposit. A new model where schools pay players directly starts this July, 2025 year of our Lord. And speaking of 20.5, that number is the salary cap per school in year one. You're going to want to use that if you're a school out there, especially the Power Four. And a brand new enforcement body is coming, people, the College Sports Commission, and it's going to oversee everything. So let me break it all down to you. Payroll 101 for the people that need to know. Every school that opts in, and trust me, you're going to want to lock in, boys. Let's lock in. You can spend up to $20.5 million across all sports annually. Now, football is going to take the most of this money, somewhere between 13, 16 million, maybe in those parameters. But let's be honest, football is the engine of this machine. Men's basketball, it's going to get a few mil. The rest, maybe crumbs. It's going to just depend on the school. This isn't just a game changer. This is a recruiting weapon. You think kids are going to choose your school when you got the next person on the door offering you 50 more than you can plus NIL? It's going to be a spicy situation because you either going to play the game or you're going to get left behind. This is the word that we look at. But wait 1 second. The NIL is not dead. Let's be clear and frank. The third party NIL out there still exists, but now they just got eyes on them like a hawk, and they're not going to be able to get away with nothing. Enter into the conversation NIL Go, a watchdog run by Deloitte. Every deal over $600 is going to get reviewed, and if it's too high or if something looks fishy in the paperwork, yeah, they can reject it or cut the value down to market rate, what they deem as market rate. And the majority of the deals that would have been pulled off prior to this going into effect on July the 1st, yeah, most of them are not gonna they wouldn't cut it under this new policy that we have in the place. So that means no more ghost deals, no more behind the table. Everything under this roof now and in this household, it's gonna have to be reviewed. And me personally, I love it. I love it because everything is now under the books. No more $500,000 handshakes. Shake my hand. None of that. And it's a power shift for us that's out there because now the sport is being policed by the College Sports Commission, a group of people made up priority number one, it seems in this situation, the Power Four. The SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and the Big 12, they all have a seat to the table right now. They investigate, they fine, they're going to suspend you, and now it's law. Think of it like the SEC running the NFL, and not the good kind of SEC, the snarky kind. Contract chaos. There's going to be legal storms coming and brewing, and you thought it was messy before? Baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because contracts now come with buyouts, performance clauses, and even bigger academic triggers. One player, Xavier Lucas, signed with Wisconsin, and then he bolted for Miami, and Wisconsin might just sue. That's still murky in the water. The lawyers are already lining up for Title IX. For the lawsuits right there because men's sports are eating most of the money. And the rest of us, if you're women's basketball or any of the other Olympic sports or non-revenue generating sports, you're the ones that's going to lose the most sleep right now because we're going to see that raised to the horizon. We're going to see employment lawsuits raised to the horizon. And players aren't technically employees, but they sure look like them now. And this is where we get even more spicy in this situation because some schools are not going to pay at all. Not because they don't want to, but because they simply can't. Imagine your school offering walk-on that's just lighting it up across the town. That means it's going crazy. And he's in a situation now where he has to compete with a legit payroll. That's where we get convoluted in this situation. Now there's still some intricacies that's at work based on what the judge put in place, but the rich get richer, and everybody else, you probably just gonna drop a level or just drop sports altogether. Think about HBCUs. Think about FCS. Think about people Division II. This isn't amateurism anymore. This ain't the old good old boys club where the suits made millions and the players just grinded for meal swipes. This is not that same old situation. This college football, it just took its first real step into the professional era where we get, and where we are right now is in the middle of history. History is made over this weekend, and I'm just here to report and tell you about it in layman's terms, in a way that you can understand. In this new game, in this new era, you're gonna either have to adapt or vanish. And I hope that you know, in this world of college football, it's all about survival of the fittest.
Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. Bet US get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. You know, CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money. Go get that money, twin. Welcome to the show. It's your boy Moon, back at it again with more college football news, headlines, and everything you need to know that's going on in this wild and wacky world. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you listening to the show. Coming up next, there's something that is going on that's different right now. Something raw, rigged, and unfiltered going on in the Conference USA. And I'm here to talk about it because this isn't the glitz of the SEC. It's not that corporate polish of the Big Ten. This is a place where dreams are dented, not dead. Where the air smells like second chances on the sidelines. And it's filled with men really trying to run into their moment and outrun their resumes. Welcome to the island of misfit coaches in the Conference USA. Let's take a start in Murfreesboro and talk about Coach Mason, Derek Mason, that is. Once a Vanderbilt staple, proud Vanderbilt head coach, now stalks the sidelines of Middle Tennessee State University with a vengeance coming into 2025. His first season was a horror show. Now, SP Plus has them ranked 31st, 131st. The Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee State lost 9 games by an average of 24 points plus. And it looked like rock bottom, honestly. But Mason stayed and he got a chance to keep the band back together. He didn't clean house. He doubled down on everything that he needed to know. No portal raids, culture resets. He got a quarterback in Nicholas V, who isn't flashy by any means, but he just might be a sleeper quarterback and a tough out in this year of 2025 for Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders. Derek Mason didn't take the TV job like you see some coaches doing, going to ESPN. He took the long way back, trying to get it out the mud. He headed south. And he's hopefully trying to make himself redeemed and right his wrongs. Let's take a trip even further south and go check on the next head coach that I want to talk about. Coach Sonny Cumbie, still grinding out there in Ruston. His record 11-26 right now. But don't let the box score just lie to you and just make everything convoluted for you. Sonny Cumbie is in a situation where he's playing the long game and not the short one. He's developing freshmen. He's bringing in JUCOs. He's adding plug-in guys. And he's even got a quarterback in Evan Bullock who quietly tossed 14 touchdowns to just 3 picks as a freshman. So I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, Well, Sonny, this might be his best Louisiana Tech ball club. And he's not just coaching games right now. He's coaching for time. He's got Tony Franklin. Yes, that Tony Franklin that's been calling plays for such a mighty long time. At 67 years old, it's that old air raid that your mom and your pops love. But that air raid is going to meet survival mode right now. That's what we see right now. I label those guys, Derek Mason and Sonny Cumbie, the second chancers on this island. Also on this island, Phil Longo at Sam Houston. He's a system guy who has a national resume. SEC, Big Ten, Chapel Hill, Wisconsin, you name it. He's been calling the shots in programs. He's had that jump to the FBS. And now he's in a situation where Sam Houston State, they are adapting to a major shift this year. This is the reality that we find ourselves with Phil Longo. He's got a returning quarterback, a team that Vegas thinks overperformed by just pure turnover differential, and their turnover luck last year was just through the roof. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I'm gonna put some money on Phil Longo because I feel like he's more than a system offensive coordinator. And I feel like he did kind of get a raw deal at Wisconsin. And if you look at his track record, he has a great one of developing quarterbacks. And all he needs is some time. But here on this island of misfit coaches, you might not have time as a luxury. At Jacksonville State, there's Charles Kelly because he now is stepping into a new playground going on. He was born in Alabama. He was raised on Sabanism. He coached under Deion Sanders primetime, Jimbo Fisher, Hugh Freeze, and now he's the main character in this show. He inherits a team that just went nuclear under Rich Rodriguez. And I'm saying to myself, they're going to have to shift their identity quite a bit. He's going to get a new offensive coordinator in Trickett, who's coming in with some blue chip transfers and a defense that's got something in the tank this year. And it's not going to be like 2024. I feel like Charles Kelly's job is not just to win. It has to be to morph the DNA of this program mid-flight and convince us, the Jacksonville State people, fan base, and collective, that this team is still the same beast. This team is still the same dogs. And this team can still compete for Conference USA championships. But make no mistake, my friend, on this island of misfit coaches, he has limited time to do so. Let's talk about the next one. The innovators, the ones that we look at as the wild ones. Scotty Walden, UTEP Miners, 34 years old, swag through the ceiling. He didn't just get to UTEP and say, oh, I'm here just to, get along with the status quo. No, he came in and he blew it up. 30 transfers, 2 new coordinators, Malachi Nelson's coming in, former 5-star quarterback by way of USC. Some might deem him as a washout, but I look at him as the perfect crash out for this experiment. And he's now leading a high-octane experimental offense that is on the border of Texas and is going to wreak chaos in the Conference USA. I'm telling you, this new offensive coordinator, Mark Collar, he's fresh out of TCU. And what does TCU and the Horned Frogs love to do? Air that thing out of there. The offense is going to be unpredictable. The ceiling through the roof. Some people have higher hopes on UTEP like me. Others can't stand them. They can't even put them in the top 90. But make no mistake, in a world where El Paso is connecting borders to each other, this team is going to connect a lot of pieces this year and put it all together. Scotty Walden is a guy to get the job done. And I feel like he's playing with dynamite and he's betting with his firepower. Then in Miami, You got Willie Simmons, the HBCU maestro from FAMU, HBCU national champion, resume longer than a grocery list. I mean, look, he's now at FIU, and his program has been dead in the water. No pun intended. 13-40 over the last 5 years is FIU, Florida International University. But Willie Simmons said, nah, our goal is to win the conference, and we have our eyes on the college football playoff. To us, the people, we might deem that as crazy until you realize the guy that just said those words was just playing in an HBCU national championship just 2 years ago. Keon Jenkins is back. So are big bodies from FSU and Miami coming in. They're going to reinforce them trenches out there in Florida International, and they finally going to have some juice in their veins. Dare I say it? A pulse is now awakening right now at FIU because they got one. Because they have a coach that is working on limited time, but trying to blow the roof off that thing out there in Florida International. The watch list is going to continue to grow this year because Conference USA has coaches, people. It's a land of long shots on this island. It's a league of ticking time bombs where anyone could be a landmine. You don't know where you're surfing at. Jamie Chadwell is at Liberty, still winning, even though he had a rough one last year. Let's call a spade a spade. But this one is just, hello? Yeah, this is a Power 4 offer. Hey, are you Jamie Chadwell and the Liberty Fames with the easiest schedule in America? Yep, that's me. Well, if you do everything that you need to do and check all those boxes, Jamie, then you could be signed yourself up for a perfect receipt so you can give that to your haters and then take your talents, take your family to a Power 4 job. It's just waiting in the wind. It's just waiting in the wind. Tyson Helton out WKU is also waiting in the wind. He's a culture machine. Brought in 40 plus transfers and said, oh, 37 want to walk out the door? That's cool. We're going to bring in 42. Now he gets a chance to come in and said, oh, y'all think that Western Kentucky is just not going to be relevant again just because we lost to those guys twice? I mean, back and forth at the end of the season. We'll be back. Kennesaw State, pictured on the screen, is a team that everybody is wanting to look at and see, oh, that's bottom of the nation. They in the 130 to 136 range as far as rankings on everybody's list. But I will be the person to let you know that there's more than meets the eye, my friend. It's more than meets the eye. Coach Jerry Mack is at Kennesaw State, flipping an option-based team that just went crazy in FCS and wreaked some havoc in their first year in Conference USA. And now it's trying to flip their identity on the fly. New things are on the horizon. People seem to just forget about Kennesaw State and just act like it's not a gold mine. Kennesaw State is a walking gold mine. It's tucked away in the mountains of northeast Atlanta, sitting so pretty. You get to the campus and you're blown away because you didn't even know that it existed. You get to the facilities and you see the people and how they treat you, and you're like, man, you see the stadium, nice little stadium. Not the biggest, not the flashiest, but the people come out and they want to support because that program knows how to win. Enter into the conversation a new winner, Jerry Mack. He can get the job done. And I feel like nobody outside the 470, 404 area code sees this coming. But if Kennesaw State is competitive, this will be because their defense has gotten better and took massive leaps. They actually have coaches that want to take massive leaps. And their quarterback situation plays out, whether it's between Dexter Williams or the freshman Skyler that just came in. And I know he's going to be a fireworks show. Kennesaw State has a lot going on right now. You could even talk about other guys like Missouri State and take a trip to the Ozarks, deep into the Missouri. Just lusciousness. Yeah, I think it's luscious out there, Missouri. I ain't been yet, but I'm trying to come. This is the new kid of the block in the Conference USA. And make no mistake, new things on the horizon here at Missouri State. He's got a cannon of an arm at quarterback. Introducing into the chat, Jacob Clark. And I feel like Missouri State is going to get ranked at the bottom, but they're coming with the underdog type of energy that fits this league perfectly. Why? Because this is one of the chaos leagues. This is the chaos league of the entire country. This team is going to have a fan base that comes out and supports them all year long. This is their moment. Do you think for a second that they're not about to come out in full droves to support this squad? I wouldn't be surprised because there's certain things that you can't measure in just statistics, metrics, your rankings, your power ratings. You can't measure magic. And I'm here to tell you, these teams in the Conference USA and these head coaches on this island and misfits coaches, they all have something to prove in the limited amount of time that they have left remaining on the island. Some might be here for 2 years. Another might be ditched after the season goes. One wrong move, and you could be on a 3-game losing streak and out of the scenario. Next thing you know, that coach is replaced by another guy. This is just where we land on this island of misfit coaches in this beautiful world of college football. In the Power Four, coaching is a resume builder, a brand war. In the Conference USA, it's a bare knuckle brawl with time, identity, and relevance that you don't have. You're fighting for scraps. This is where broken coordinators come to make magic, to turn into hard fought leaders. This is where cast offs find culture and new emergence. This is where pressure doesn't just come from boosters, but it comes from that mirror that you're looking at in the wall. Because you only got a little bit of time, my friend, and there's no safety nets on this island. Only schemes, scars, and sideline war stories. Welcome to the most human league in all of college football. No precincts, no parachutes, just straight football, straight hunger. That's what you get in the Conference USA. This is your boy Moon. Welcome to the show. As you can see how I talk about it, I really do love the Conference USA. I really do. I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on it, and that's okay. Let them sleep. But as the 1%ers and the people that look beyond the surface, you know, the college football ecosystem is so much more than just the Michigans and the Alabamas. It's so much more. It's about the new kid on the block trying to shock everybody, you know, in Missouri State and Delaware coming this year. It's teams that don't get the love and probably don't deserve it because they haven't won nothing, like FIU. But I got a new coach that's trying to do some new things. That's the island of misfit coaches, and this is the world of college football. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS, get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. You know, CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money. Go get that money, twin. Special shout out to BetUS, and they appreciate you, man. Special shout out to you for watching. We appreciate you too. Let's get into the show. Keep it going, man. 30 minutes in, and the flames keep continuing. I'm not talking about the Liberty Flames on the mountain. Let's take a trip down south and talk about the Big 12 Conference. 16 teams, no easy outs, just cash, chaos, cash, and consequences. Did I mention cash? Yeah. Here's a story of the 2025 Big 12 from the eyes of Moon. Let's take a trip first to Lubbock, Texas. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about Lubbock. Lubbock. Texas Tech and the Red Raiders out there where the wind doesn't just rip in West Texas like it used to. That thing roars now. And if anybody has been paying attention over the course of this offseason, Texas Tech has been getting a lot of love. And that wind is carrying some whispers of cash money because them boys been using the portal. They didn't tiptoe into this offseason. Nah. Texas Tech hit all gas, no brakes, and said, we're going to build up our defensive line through the transfer portal. Yup. Insert Lee Hunter into the frame, who is the avalanche in shoulder pads. David Bailey might be the best edge in the Big 12. And Romello Height, I know Romello Height. He balled out at Georgia Tech last year. Skylar Gill Howard, Skylar's a dog. They got a D-line now that, like, you looking at them boys differently. And they didn't just spend some coin up front. This team actually brought back one of the guys who has a tumultuous / interesting time at Texas Tech, and Micah Hudson, who's returning after his quick A&M detour, as you would say. I feel like that's not luck, though. That's revenge getting him to come back. And it just proved to me that Joey McGuire is a mad scientist. He has got an offense that's going to be under Mac Leftwich, and he is another mad scientist. And I feel like he's going to be calling and dialing up shots this year because Texas Tech's problem was never that they could score. They could always score. It's the problem that they couldn't stop nobody. But you insert a new defensive line into my veins, it's a new hope coming out there in the West Texas area. Lubbock, you might have something this year. Kenny Dillingham and the Calm Kings of the Desert. No noise, just moves. Arizona State feels like the most mature team in the league, despite having nobody pick them to do any damage last year. And I say that they're the most mature team because it seems like they're handling the pressure pretty well. They got a quarterback that's coming back. That Kenny Dillingham said, you know what? We're gonna keep the band back together. Jordan Hudson, come back, man. Jordan Tyson, just stay. Don't go nowhere. The coordinators, they didn't even entertain any offers outside of what was at home. And you love to see that. Continuity. Because in the era of chaos, continuity is a flex. And Arizona State is flexing right now. It's like rich kids flexing. I'm balling. That's exactly what they doing out there with a team that didn't really need a portal makeover. They didn't need one. They just needed calculated precision. Move through the offseason and get all the haters off your shoulders. Move and just stay clean. Keep your nose clean, even if you got to use 2 sleeves. Whatever you got to do, make it happen. Stay out of the noise. And if you ask Kenny Dillingham, he would clearly tell you that Arizona State, we like being the underdog. So this new role for this team is going to be interesting. You have to keep your eyes on the Sun Devils of Arizona State this year. Baylor and Waco. 1 minute, they are 2-4. The next minute, they pull off 6 straight wins. And I'm looking at it like, whoa, Baylor might be the hottest ticket in the South. Sawyer Robertson, that man didn't just emerge last year. He erupted like a volcano, ready to go crazy, throwing darts all over the place. He had an offensive line that was retooled, directing the offense. Bryson Washington wants to go crazy. You get a 90-yard game. You get a 190-yard game. 40 points is just normal to Baylor. This year, though, it's the defense that gives me so much hope because Dave Aranda, He took over that defensive playbook last year and said, "Give me that. Give me that. Y'all tripping. Get off the sticks." It's the classic thing of pass me the sticks, bro. And he sat up in his seat and he said, "We not losing the rest of the year." And I know they lost in the bowl game, but hey, you had to come back and snatch that clipboard back, take back control, and we love to see that. So I feel like Baylor's defense this year is going to be smarter. It's going to be nastier. It's going to be a nastier version of Dave Aranda himself, because you can watch him coaching. He's I won't even call him calm, but sometimes he has moments of calm on the sidelines where you can't really make out what type of guy that he is. But I'm trying to tell you, at the end of it and at the core of it, Dave Aranda has that dog in him, and he's going to unleash that, as well as unleashing the defensive playbook. And Baylor's defense is going to wreak havoc in 2025, year of our Lord. They got Travion Barnes, who had 129 tackles last year, and he's a monster coming from the Conference USA. Imarion Winston is going to be off the edge, and I promise you he's going to be a problem. Kobe Prentice is coming from Alabama's pipeline. Baylor, they got all the juice in all the right places. All the juice. And I'm trying to tell you, before everybody else tries to tell you, they are not just looking at, oh, yeah, let's just go 6-6. Oh, it'll be a great year if we do 8-4. Oh, 8-5 sounds good. No, them boys trying to win the conference, and if they win the Big 12, they are in the college football playoff. You can book it 100%. Let's go to Iowa State, because out here, everything is out here built in the quiet. But when it's time for them lights to come on and the light show emerges, oh yeah, things get popping. Because you know what's scarier than a loud, brash team that wants to flex the chains and got that bravado? It's a team that won 11 games, loses almost nobody on their team, and says nothing. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Matt Campbell said, "Deuces, you can walk. See you later." And then turned around and landed Chase Sewell and Xavier Townsend, two receivers that looked like they was carved out of that ISU DNA. They got it. Rocco Beck is no longer a breakout candidate anymore, people. Rocco Beck is the lead actor in this film. In the script, Steven Spielberg is writing the madness and chaos around Rocco Beck. And they doubled down on that guy. They got some pieces around him. I understand people got some question marks, but they still got some pieces around him, and they still got that guy right there on your screen. I'll tell you, man, it's hard to bet against Iowa State because they're often overlooked, but yet so violent when they show up on a Saturday. Steady. And they double down on what they are in 2025. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make to you. When the noise starts to clear and all the rankings and the hype starts to disappear, Iowa State, somehow, some way, is still going to be left standing. And I think that's what I needed to tell you about the Cyclones. Kansas State, I think it's a year for us to watch the throne. The walk-offs are gone. The margin is slimmer than ever. The core, though, is still royal, just like that purple on the uniforms. Avery Johnson is the Prince of Purple. Royalty. Now he's paired with Matt Wells as full-time offensive coordinator. Marriage made in heaven. Jerron Brantley, governor of college football, loves him some Jerron Brantley. Jerron Tibbs, Lincoln Cure. They're going to have one of the most intriguing wide receiver cores and combinations in the Big 12, and also that this program has had in over a decade. Now I'm looking at this team, and you sprinkle in a little bit of Brock Heath. You add in a surgically strengthened offensive line. And this offense, even though they lost DJ Giddens, I'm telling you, bro, this offense is going to be able to hum. And nobody is talking about Kansas State right now, and it was even hard for me to pick them. But they'll be the reason everybody stops, glossing them over and everything. I feel like Avery Johnson and Sunshine can give him a reason for everybody to really start watching. Let's go to the next one. Josh Hoover. His homecoming tour for 2025 starts now. He threw for over 4,000 passing yards in 2024. He was ridiculous. I don't think I have words to describe the feelings that I get when I watch Josh Hoover ball. The way that he drops balls in the bucket, pause. The way that he makes defenders look a fool out there because he knows how to have picture perfect ball placement. The way he knows how to stand 10 toes down in the pocket, despite all the pressure that is barreling down on him. He is a quarterback that any guy that really loves ball can fall in love with. But why? I think because he's often doubted and he constantly proves us wrong. He comes into a situation this year where they have a world stage and all of the eyes of the nation will be on Monday, Labor Day weekend, checking out TCU and the Horned Frogs. But before we even get to this point, this team, they added some additions to this wide receiver room where last year Jack Bech went absolutely stupid. You turn on a TCU game, you better bet your bottom dollar that Jack Bech was going to go crazy. And you had Savion Williams. You had a lot of talented products in that wide receiver core. But now you add in UTSA legend Kavorian Barnes. You add in some Jordan Dwyer. I'm starting to look at this. I'm looking at this team a little different now when I see that they cleaned up their secondary because that was one of their Achilles heels last year. Andy Avalos, Kendall Browse, they're going to be drawing up heat on all sides. And this team, they're going to be one of the most aggressive bunches in the entire Big 12. This team is very aggressive, but that's what Horned Frogs are in real life. 2025 might be a wake-up call for all of us to fear the Horned Frogs. Let's talk about Utah. Utah is out for atonement and blood in 2025. This offense is reborn. It's not the same as it was over the last couple of years. It's going to be different. I feel like we actually got some things to be excited about in Utah. And Kyle Whittingham, I don't know if he's going to retire after this year or not. I don't know what's going to go down, but I know that this year is going to be you can't miss TV if you're looking at Utah. I feel like Utah let us all down in 2024. We were high on Utah. I feel like us as the media and then also collectively, like I feel like it's hard for us to doubt Utah. But ever since they made this move into the Big 12, we've been like, man, what's going on? It ain't the same team out there in Salt Lake. It ain't the same type of energy out there in Salt Lake. Is Cam rising? Is he playing? Is he not? Is he gone? Is he staying? Well, he's riding off into the sunset. And we thank you for your services, Cam. But enter Jason Beck and also enter Devin Dampier, a dual threat freak who put up loads of yards at New Mexico. And guess what? You get your entire starting offensive line back, and they are just nasty. I have Utah as definitely a top 10 offensive line in college football this year. I'm looking at this offense being reborn. We already know what their defense can be. Utah's defense is criminally underrated. What is their current ranking? Based on what I've been seeing people put them, they're like in the 40s, 50s. I feel like they're higher than that. They're a fringe top 25, in my opinion. But we'll be seeing very closely and soon to come about what Utah is going to be in 2025. But it's going to be all because of the shoulders on the offense, at least with that guy. And what do you want to do to keep him safe? Protect him. And they're going to do just that. Cincinnati, Ohio. Everybody kind of looks at Cincinnati as irrelevant. Like, they kind of don't matter. And Cincinnati didn't get the memo at all. Brendan Swordsby is still there. Dante Corleone, the massive human in the trenches. He's still going to lead this defense. Joy Royer, he's still out there balling. And his staff, they cooked in the spring portal. I mean, in the kitchen with the sauce. For Joe Cotton, to Ryan Tayo, they're going to be up front holding it down. You get some new life injected into my veins and the wide receiver core. And I'm starting to look at Cincinnati like, whoa. maybe it was just a recalibration, and you move this wire over here, move this wire over there, and then we got some magic now in Cincy. I'm not gonna sleep on Cincy because I feel like if I sleep on Cincy, I'll wake up in the most grueling of a nightmare ever in this loaded and reloaded Big 12. Let's talk about the next team. Blue collar, battle tested. Coach Kalani is going crazy out there. I understand they lost 12 starters. They could have folded, but guess what? They stood 10 toes down and reinforced the foundation with an NFL ready team. They already got trench monsters all over the place. I understand Jake Retzlaff is going through a situation, but he's still at quarterback. And beyond all of the allegations, he's been building a legacy at Utah. In BYU, he's been going crazy, bro. Tiger Bachhammer, they got him, and that's a late gem that they're adding right now. And the defensive line got nastier up front. The Cougars ultimately did not panic when it all came down to the end of the 2024 season. They didn't panic. But the same team started off on a winning streak that looked like, yo, they just might sweep the whole Big 12. And then they ran into the wrong teams at the wrong times on the wrong days. And in a league that loves flash, but ultimately loves good ball, BYU still believes in fist, putting them fist on, because we gonna fight it out. And I feel like you can give BYU your best shot, and they gonna get up, bloody mouth and all, and say, "You trying to run it back?" Coach Prime, come on down. Because Shador is gone, Travis is gone. Coach Prime is still there, and it's still interesting to see what's going on out here in Colorado because Caden Salter is now at quarterback. They still brought in Julian Lewis from Carrollton, Georgia, and he flipped from USC, and that was some major momentum for Colorado. Colorado is now more loaded at quarterback even after Shador's leaving. Their quarterback position is better, in my opinion. If you look at the entire group, their coaching staff is loaded from all over the place. But I really do feel like it's going to take some time for all the pieces to come together. I understand Jordan Seaton is out there holding down the left side. They're going to need all the offensive line to work in cohesion this year because it's going to be more eyes on Colorado like it always is. But now more than ever, because what is Coach Prime and the Buffs this year? I can answer that question. They are going to be in a transition year, but it's not going to be one of those quiet, off to the wayside transition years. I feel like they're going to reset on the fly, and week to week, we're going to see how great Colorado's coaching staff is because this going to be a developmental year. We're going to see Colorado Buffaloes grow right before our eyes for the whole world to see. We're going to see them turn from kids to men on this stage. Their schedule, a gauntlet, and that's why it's kind of hard to pick them to win the Big 12. But their quarterback, a monster, and he can come in and put up easily 30 plus touchdowns and walk out with most valuable player. Big 12 awards galore and potential Heisman consideration just from spotlight alone in this conference. They have the coaching to make up for the transition. And that's why I feel like all eyes are going to be on Colorado. I do like that they added Jaheim Otis from the SEC. He's going to bring some nastiness up front. Hopefully that can rub off on everybody. The last time I checked, Colorado's coaching staff looked like an NFL gold jacket room. That's what it looked like. Everything gold. They're not going to just fade away in 2025. They're going to be must-see TV already because it's Colorado, but must-see TV because these kids going to turn into grown men for real. Let's take a trip out to Stillwater, Oklahoma. Mike Gundy basically said, here, let me see the lighter. I got that. All right, everybody, let's get out of here. We about to blow it all up to smithereens. And then he nuked it. Everybody gotta go. He himself took a pay cut. And then he fired everybody. And then he said, you know what? After I did all of that and I enraged myself so much, what do I need the most? I need to go shopping. So he brought in 38 transfers. He brought in Todd Grantham. He brought in Doug Meacham. He brought in two quarterbacks with high ceilings and Zane Flores and Hosh Hesney. I want Hosh to get the starting job if you just let me be the one that tells you. But last year, though, I cannot forgive Oklahoma State for what they did last year. It was unforgivable. This year, it's going to be unpredictable, which is exactly what we need in this wild and wacky world of the Big 12. So many transfers, and especially on offense, defense is just as many. So they're going to have to figure it out on the fly too, and that is why they're going to be must see in this loaded Big 12. They have the most intrigue, probably of any Big 12 team that's not getting any love right now. Speaking of love, love travels. You know who else likes to travel? Rich Rodriguez. He took his talents from down south in Jacksonville, Alabama, and said, "We're going up to the mountains, back home to Morgantown." 47 transfers went out the door. 40 plus came in the door. And then West Virginia football, they said, "We're going to tap into the glory days." They brought back Pat White, Jeff Castillo. They brought in the ghost of glory and said, "We're going to run it back the right way." This team is waking up, man. Morgantown, it's a new energy out there, and they were waking up. And Nero Marichal stayed. Jaheim White stayed. I feel like that's enough post to work with. That's enough juice to work with. Now it's going to be a cohesion, but they are one of those Big 12 teams like the last two I just mentioned, like Oklahoma State, and also Coach Prime and the reboot after the show that are going to be must-see TV in the Big 12. Why? Because it's going to be unpredictable. I'm expecting chaos. I'm expecting grit. I'm expecting nothing polished, but everything magical out there in the mountains of West Virginia. And I think also, most notably, Rich Rodriguez is happy. I'm always going to love when a coach is going back to his roots and he's happy. You're going to get the most dog version of Rich Rodriguez you probably ever seen in 2025. I got a chance to see Rich Rodriguez on the CFB Nation Tour in 2024. And Rich Rodriguez, I went to Jacksonville, Alabama, and I saw Jacksonville State versus Middle Tennessee State, and I saw him up close. He is intense, but he also is strategic. He is a calculated person. He knew what he was doing when he was making this shift, and I feel like he just wanted to be happy. This gives him happiness, and it's an underrated thing to value when we talk about happiness and coaching. You're gonna get his Picasso this year. This year, we're gonna get Rich Rodriguez's Picasso, his best work. People talking about the glory days. I understand, but some things just need to be left in the past. He said we're gonna owe to the past, but this version, magical in Morgantown. Let's talk about the next team and go out to Lawrence, Kansas. Jalen Daniels, thank you for staying with us, my boy. Because if you didn't, I would look at this team completely different. But because you stayed, Jalen, because you stayed, we have a chance right now to run it back with some controversy. I call Kansas the Chaos Jayhawks because they do it not from scratch in 2025. They're starting from belief. And then they work their way up. This climb that they're going back up to the Big 12 mountaintop, it's going to be intense. It's going to be some hard days out there, Kansas fans. I'm not going to hold you. But because you got that guy at quarterback, it's going to be a safety blanket for you. Why? Because you've seen it all. The only thing we're looking at Jalen Daniels and can punish him as a quarterback is just, oh, well, he can't just stay healthy. Jalen Daniels is like in his 6th year? Yep. You better bet you about $1. And they're going to need all types of experience in that quarterback position because hopefully that can just run down. Kansas is rolling into a newly renovated system that looks beautiful. I had mixed feelings when I first saw it, but then when I realized that it's so much bigger than just the stadium, I said, oh, okay, I can get behind it, Kansas. They're going to try to ball out this year. They got a new wide receiver core that's going to take some time. He started out last season kind of slow, but then when he started picking up, he ended it off on a good note. And I said, yo, Jalen, this is the version that we need to see. So just like Baylor, Sawyer Robinson picked it up at the end of the year, we're betting on them high this year, start 2025. TCU kind of ended the season off on a good note. 2024, we're kind of betting on them to go up in 2025. Same thing is with the quarterback position. This guy has seen it all, and you take health out of the equation and actually talk ball talk. Jalen Daniels has to get better at being more decisive. It's really just that, being more decisive. We know the explosion is there. We know he's the ultimate dual threat quarterback. And beyond just that, I feel like he's a maestro on the field because he sees things and he has anticipation that some of these other Big 12 quarterbacks gotta look at it and say, yo, yo, how'd I do that? Kansas, they're gonna be a sneaky team, 100%. 100% this year. And you gotta pay attention to the Jayhawks. But I'm telling you, this climb to the Big 12 mountaintops, it's gonna be different than it was before, but it's gonna feel refreshed. Because last year for Kansas was unfamiliar. They had to play a lot of games in uncomfortable territory. This year, they get a chance to play actually at their crib. You can't understate the price tag of actually having real home games and a new atmosphere out there in Lawrence. Let's take the top off of the coverage right here and go talk about a guy out there in Arizona, Tucson. How do you go from 10 wins to 4? I'll just start right there. Bars, Moon. Say it again. How you go from 10 wins to 4? They working a 10 to 4. Oh, man. How you go from hope to heartbreak? Oh, bro. The rebuild starts now. Let's just be honest. The rebuild starts now for Arizona, and Noah Fifita is still at the helm. It's similar to Jalen Daniels, who was like, what, year 4, year 5, year 6. Noah Fifita came back, and he's without Tetsuroor McMillan, a.k.a. T-Mac, a.k.a. New Carolina Panther. The wide receiver core got flipped on his head, but they got some toughness out there from the FCS ranks. They did. Seth Doge is still calling plays. He might be able to get some things and some magic out there without having to focus on just one player. Now they can see what the other guys can do. And something that I noticed with Arizona is just that offensive line just didn't hold up their end of the bargain last year, bro. That man shouldn't have had to be running out like that. They had him so uncomfortable out of his comfort zone. You saw Noah Fifita in 2023. You said, Noah Fifita, my goodness. My goodness. But now you saw Noah Fifita in 2024. You said, my goodness. My goodness. What is going on? Same my goodness, but different impact. And that's what I'm expecting in 2025. Different impact. They're going to be rebuilding with scars. They're going to be rebuilding with a chip the size of Tucson, Arizona on their shoulders. They got the weight of the world. They got the weight of the world in them this year in the Big 12 because last year we picked them, the media. I had Arizona ranked high. There's no way in the world I thought Arizona was going to finish the season with 4 wins. No way. No way. They massively underachieved. But now, year 2 for head coach, it's still some adjustments, but I do not feel like their former coach should have left because it put them in a really, really bad position, bro. And now they're trying to get it out the mud again in 2025. Scotty Too Hottie, Mr. Frost in his veins, Iceman himself, not George Gervin. I'm talking about the guy that's replacing Gus Malzahn this year. Because the cupboard, it might be a little bare out there, but if I ask UCF fans how we feeling, hey, we feeling like we could conquer the world right now because we got that guy back in the kingdom. He came back to the kingdom, man. Like, just think about it. We got coaches coming back home. We just talked about it. Jalen Daniels said, I'm staying home in Kansas. I could leave and hit the transfer portal if I wanted to. I'm staying home. Sam Levitt said, yo, you know what? I'm staying home. Avery Johnson was getting hit up by Tennessee. They said, you know what? I'm staying home. Josh Hoover was getting hit up by Tennessee. Behind the scenes and all the tampering, which KT talked about on Governor of College Football earlier today, because it definitely goes on in college football. Josh Hoover said, I'm staying home. Guess what Scott Frost said? I'm coming home. I'm coming home. It's a great feel-good story. Just like Rich Rod going back home to West Virginia. This is probably even more magical because this is year 1 of a cold restart for us. And they didn't waste no time when they got in the door. They brought in 34 transfers, 5 quarterbacks to throw at a wall and said, who's going to stick? Who's going to stick? Is it Cam Fancher? Who's going to stick? I mean, hey, do whatever you got to do, bro. Whatever you got to do, even if you got to pick up portal speed from the SEC, portal speed from the G5, whatever you got to do. Their schedule is not going to be kind to them at all in 2025. But they still got some pieces. They got some pieces, man. I don't feel like anything is going to be comfort, but they're not here for comfort. I feel like UCF is here because they once shocked the world and they're trying to do it again in 2025. You talked about mystery teams and teams that you don't expect to be here. If there was one mystery team where I said, yo, if we ended the year in December, fast forward 6 months from now, right? Fast forward to December, a team that's good and they had no business being this good, it's probably UCF. Now, I'm not saying that from a talent perspective because RJ Harvey ain't coming back through that door. But I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, they can be better than advertised. And like I said, you can't put a price tag on Magic in the air. Coming up next, Connor Weigman. Connor Weigman. It's year 2 under Willie Fritz. And Connor Weigman is now in the doors, former Texas A&M quarterback who kind of had an up and down last year. But he does have a flamethrower. And when I take all the, like, some people don't really be talking ball for real. Some people just talk headlines. They talk highlights. When you actually talk ball, Connor Weigman can ball. Like, no cap. Like, he can ball. Dude got a flamethrower of an arm. And maybe it was just too much pressure at Texas A&M. Maybe they just didn't rock with your boy at the end of the year. Maybe they just switched up and said, man, we need Marcel. The fans started advocating for Marcel. Maybe he just had too many things that was going out of his favor. But what happens when the deck flips in his favor? I feel like Houston is cooking with hot gas at the quarterback position. Post Donovan Smith. Willie Fritz is in a situation where he's not going to flinch. Houston was competitive last year, and the only thing that was causing them to stumble over and over again was Houston's inability to score. You change the quarterback position, you get a new guy to come in that can go crazy for you. I promise there are brighter days coming out there for the Cougars. Slade Nagel is calling the shots on offense for you. And if he can unlock Connor Weigman's ceiling, which I think he can, this team is probably going to have a quarterback wide receiver room that is one of the most volatile in the conference. Harvey Broussard and Tanner, I think he said his name, Tanner Cuzio. They're going to give this offense some teeth, some grit that you really need and deserve. But I think that it's the plug and play. If any team had to plug and play, like kind of like not to the extent of Texas Tech, for example, getting in Lee Hunter or whatever. Nah, they said, you know what? We're going to get some guys that could come in and we're going to plug and pray that this portal influx brings some juice and big bodies for this offense, and we can get some explosion, some instant chemistry, and then maybe Houston, we can have some good problems on our hands that we're not just in a little subtle rebuild. You know, we can actually be competitive and just blow it all up and burn the blueprint of 2024. Keep the defensive blueprint, but the offense, just strip it bare, renovate this house with a guy that got hated on, booted out of A&M, and just everybody just kind of forgot about him. We could take that guy and we can mold him into something. I think that's what I'm paying attention the most to Houston. From BYU and Coach Kalani trying to do the unthinkable this year, from Mike Gundy saying, we blowing it all up and nuking the whole thing, to Cincinnati trying to go from unforgotten to contender, from Utah having a new quarterback emerging right now in Devin Dampier, to Josh Hoover being on his comeback tour at TCU, trying to go crazy in 2025. Coach Prime figuring it out in the post Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders era, to Sawyer Robinson versus the world, and Baylor really trying to do something special in Waco this year with Javorian Barnes coming in, Arizona State being the kings of the desert. It's so many stories that are moving and reloading, refreshing, as I might say. In the Big 12 conference, a conference of chaos, a conference of grit. And like I started off the show saying, a conference of cash, because it's cash money talk, ball talk only. And there's real consequences if you slip up in the Big 12. You can go from 3-game winning streak, 3-game losing streak. One missed field goal can be the reason why you don't make the conference championship. Better button it up, my guy. This is the world of college football, my friend.
Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS, get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. You know, CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money. Go get that money, twin. We appreciate you being here. This is World of College Football, hosted by me, and I am more than happy to be here on another episode, June the 10th, Tuesday, year of our Lord. All right, so I was thinking over the weekend, and this is going to make sense in a minute. So Lil Wayne dropped the Carter 6, and there was a lot of people who was talking about, oh man, it was trash. I heard everybody flaming it. Like, man, I get online on Twitter. I said, yo, is it really that bad? Like, for real? And then people was like, yes, Moon. Yes. Now, I haven't listened to it yet because I've been in a college football tunnel right now. And I've just been focused on the game. I've been watching old 2024 games. I've been if I can inject college football in my veins, I will. But I've been trying to take people's word from it. You know what I mean? And it got me thinking to myself, what if I could build like a wide receiver playlist and compare wide receiver rooms to classic albums to get people to understand how I feel about these wide receiver rooms in real time, you know, and also make the parallel between music and football. Because, like, make no mistake about it, football is amazing, but I feel like something that impacts football greatly is the culture, the music. I get a chance to travel all across the country, and one of the things that sticks out to me the most is HBCUs. HBCUs have the best experience of any game atmosphere that I've ever been to. Why? Because it's the music, it's the bands, it's the culture. When they start playing the real neck, talking out the side of your neck, that Norfolk State immortalized and famed, and now that the whole country sings it, so now Clemson's band is playing it. They really are the culture, and it's the music that brings us all together. So I started thinking to myself, what if wide receiver rooms weren't just measured in yards, but also sonically? Like, what if sometimes I watch the game and I'm like, yo, he just cashed out. I like to bring the game to life. One of my favorite commentators, anchors, pioneers, just legends of his game was Stuart Scott. I love how he brought everything to life, you know, and made everything realistic. You could feel it, you know, you could understand what he was saying because he's breaking the barriers by building parallels from music in your discography and a wide receiver that just caught a fade route over the top of his shoulder, and next thing you know, his touchdown scoreboard. That's what I looked at in this project. I said, you know what if I could compare wide receiver rooms to classic albums, and for a person that doesn't know football but you know music, you can have a better understanding of where Moon's mind is for this 2025 season. Because not everybody is college football fans. I'm fully aware. I make this show for people that don't really pay attention to all the rest that's going on in G5 or the Conference USA or the Group of Five. You know what I mean? Shout out to you, Billy. Appreciate you watching the show. We make this show for the people so you don't have to pay attention to it. I got you. We're going to talk about the FCS. We're going to talk about everybody. But music is something that brings us all together. They look at the movie Sinners that just came out. It talked and it painted the story of how music is a bridge that connects all of us in the past. Think about it. Last year, when College Football 25 dropped, one of the key things that they talked about was the new music in the game. Sheck West, Mo Bamba, Penn State Whiteout. Think and visualize in my mind with me real quick. Penn State Whiteout. All you hear is calling a young shepherd's phone. Where's Ollie? You get the point. With the mother, I'm just playing. But you get my point. It's music. It's that feeling. It's the chills that you get when you're on the field. I'm on the field when we're going to these stadiums, and I'm like, yo, it's electric. And that's what I wanted to say. What if wide receiver rooms were albums? This is what we're about to explore in this episode of World of CFB. Moon, take them through it. This is about to be a discography of domination, a crossfade between college football and sonic greatness. Each wide receiver room that I mentioned tonight is all elite in my eyes, and they're going to be named or have an album that's associated with them. Now, I wanted to pick something that matches the room's soul and the core of what I feel with this wide receiver core and the way they move, and ultimately in 2025, the way that they're going to win. So let's start this party off with a banger that everybody should know and love. Coming up first, Thriller, Michael Jackson. The vibes that I'm going with right now is pop perfection, legendary. I need a team that has mass appeal with zero flaws. I need a team that has a signature track. I need a team that has hidden gems is littered all over the place. Look no further than the Ohio State Buckeyes. Think about it. Every year, well, every era really has that one album, the one that's so polished, so undeniable that it doesn't just define its time. It really does own the space that it's in. In 1982, that album was Thriller. In 2025, that album or wide receiver core is Ohio State's wide receiver room. This isn't just the best wide receiver room in college football. And shout out to Billy, who's a avid college football fan, because I am too. Big college fan. You look across this country and you see Jeremiah Smith talk, and you're like, yo, is he really that good? Yes, he's that good. I mean, this feels like it's going to be a stadium tour in 2025, year of our Lord, with 5 first rounders waiting in the wings and one generational wide receiver already here at center stage on the cover of College Football 25, by the way. Jeremiah Smith is Billie Jean. Every route, every foot plant, every release off the line is smooth, unshakable, unmatched, and he's not just the best player, best receiver in the country. He's the best player in the country as well. Last year, 1,311 yards, 15 tutties, and also he made it look like a light warm-up. That was nothing to him. That's why I compare him to Billie Jean, because there's no drop-off. There's no skip. And I think that he's what makes this wide receiver room legendary. Coming up next, Carnell Tate. I compare him to wannabe starting something, because he could be a person that starts anything on 95% of college football teams. Carnell Tate could be wide receiver 1. And I feel like he's precision in cleats. I truly believe that he's a vibe that you cannot escape, similar to wannabe starting something. And he has a pace that he plays with that you cannot escape and that you can't mirror. You can't practice in when you're trying to do reps versus scout team defense. The quickness and how the pace of Carnell Tate. He's going to emerge into something amazing this year. And the song that's going to be on my playlist with him is Wanna Be Starting Something and Wanna Be Starting. Coming up next, Max Clear at tight end. He's going to bring that veteran control for you. He's the lady in my life. Understated, powerful, no wasted motions with this kid. And they got a talent pipeline that's absolutely insane. Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter coming in. They are the bonus tracks in this album that turn great albums into actual Hall of Fame legends. Every coverage package that you can think of or want to throw out these kids, it's not going to work because they've seen it all on their quest for a natty. You double Jeremiah, you're going to have to pay in blood in another way. Good luck because Carnell Tate, he's on Wanna Be Starting Song. He going to carve you up. You try to press, okay, you're going to watch Jeremiah Smith and the rest of these boys vanish off the line in real time. This room, it doesn't just change the scoreboard for you, bro. It changes the temperature in the building. That's the same way I feel about Thriller. It changes the temperature in the building when you play Billie Jean, when you play Wanna Be Starting Something, when you look at Lady in My Life. And I feel like this group is going to drop platinum every single Sunday. They come in to sell out stadiums when they say on their tour. And I feel like when you have a program that recruits like Motown, develops like Abbey Road, and executes like Quincy Jones produced the depth chart, there's no uncertainty with this Ohio State team. We understand. It's just grown man football, grown man separation, and a type of rhythm, cadence that just makes you go crazy on the inside. CFB Nation key metric. Max Clare is the number 3 returning tight end according to PFF national ranks. Coming up next, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. And I was looking for a team that has cinematic vibes, maximalist vibes, experimental, but also it's rooted in fundamentals. Look no further than Ole Miss, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Their signature track is Power, and I feel like that power belongs to Dejon Stripling. Their hidden gem is Devil in a New Dress, and that is Luke Hawes. Let me tell you more about why I feel that way. You go out to Oxford, Mississippi, and you're out there looking, and it feels like a soundscape. The atmosphere is electric right now. Them kids really know how to dress, and they also know how to party, and they are talking different in a different type of spice right now. Because Lane Kiffin is out here not patching holes. He's out here building a mixtape with flamethrowers. He lost his top 4 pass catchers from 2024, and he said, no need to panic. It's all good. Old Miss went from crate digging in the portal like Yeezy sampling King Crimson. Let's start with the face of this project. Dejon Stripling. He's power. Loud, unapologetic, valuable piece of this project. He transferred in from Oklahoma State after posting one of the 30 most valuable wide receiver seasons in the country per PFF. His ability to win on the line of scrimmage is just high octane. His ceiling is extremely high, and this is what Lane Kiffin lives for. Then you insert Harrison Wallace into the mix, who just arrived from Penn State and the Nittany Lions, and he's going to inject some more life into this passing game in 2025. He had 723 receiving yards in 2024, and he's the gorgeous of this album. He's sleek, technical, and often overlooked by national media. But if you ask the coach out here, they'll all give you a good grade on Harrison Wallace. Why? Because of his route precision and his sideline craft. He is that guy. And then you talk about this wide receiver core and go further. You enter in Caden Lee, who's returning. He's all of the lights on this album. Explosive, emotional, sometimes messy, but every time you play all of the lights, it's electric. All I know, you know what it is. He tied the SEC he had the 6th lead in the SEC for SEC wideouts with 38 receiving first downs or touchdowns. He is elite. Caden Lee is elite. It sometimes makes my head hurt because I'm watching this film like, bro, why are you so good? Why are you so good at navigating in space and tight windows? And I ask myself, he just has that continuity, the color. He bridges, he blends everything. He bridges gaps. And I feel like you needed a player that can match the same thing of all of the lights, because I feel like all of the lights is a bridge between eras and bridge between cultures. But here's what makes this wide receiving room different. It's really the tight ends, bro. Look no further, because this dark fantasy is turning dangerous right now. See this kid? This is Luke Haas, a transfer from Arkansas, 6'4" weapon who can block like a tackle and shake safeties at the line of scrimmage like a slot wide receiver. He is the devil in a new dress on my beautiful dark twisted fantasy because of his elegance. He is elegant, but is wrapped up in a nightmare because he's going to make every defender have to second guess as soon as he steps up on the line of scrimmage. PFF ranked him as the 10th best tight end in the country heading into 2025. We got to look out. And the party isn't over because we still got more bangers on the album. This is Daquan Wright from Virginia Tech. I call him so appalled on this track list because you forget that he's even on the track list until he bodies a linebacker. This man had a 75.8 receiving grades in the last 2 years. That's fourth among all returning power 4 tight ends. I'm looking at him and the rest of this wide receiver core, and I don't see anything typical whatsoever. It's a collage, it's layers, it's samples, it's voices. Every week could feature a different star on his team. 1 week it could be Harrison Wallace. The next week it can be Caden Lee. The next week it could be Daquan Wright. You never know. But every game plan that they queue up is going to be a different genre in this week. And that's the same feeling I get from my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. CFB Nation key metric, Harrison Wallace has 723 receiving yards, more than any Penn State wide receiver last year. Coming up next, I needed a team that had elite veterans, certified hits, and a cold masterclass in controlled aggression. And look no further than the Blueprint by Hove. Now, let's talk about the team associated with it. Kirby Smart and the Dogs. Jay-Z dropped the Blueprint on 9/11. And while the world was constantly changing around him, he stepped into the chaos, buttoned up, full control, flow, smooth, hitting hard, and he built his legacy with beats that punched and lyrics that stuck with us to this day. Georgia's 2025 receiving core enters the year in a similar situation because the Bulldogs ranked 88th in PFF in receiving grade last year. That is horrendous. And for a 2-time national champion, that's a red alert for me. So what did Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo, what did the legends do? Oh, they said, you know what? We're going to get some stars. Let's go call up, you know what? Let's just introduce the cast to you. Zachariah Branch, he's a showstopper. He is, you don't know, fast, shifty, unpredictable. The USC transfer and former top 5 recruit, Zachariah Branch ranks in the 95th percentile in separation rate and in the 93rd percentile in yards after catch per reception. He turns tunnel screens into theater for all of us to watch and marvel at. No pun intended. He doesn't just run routes, though, but he owns the moment, and clearly he was not happy in 2024. We saw it on the CFB Nation tour. But now it seems like him and his brother could find a home in Athens. Then comes the skyscraper. You need a towering track. Noah Thomas, 6'6", 9 contested catches in the SEC last year. Absolute animal. He is the heart of the city of this team. Towering, deliberate, impossible to cover one-on-one in the red zone. The Texas A&M transfer who could rewrite matchups from day one for this football team. Then you have Kobe Young, who returns from injury, and this isn't Kobe on your screen, but he's returning from injury, and he led the ACC in contested catches last year with 12 of them in 2023. And I'm sitting here looking at Miami, and I'm like, y'all this kid, Kobe is good. To me, Kobe Young is renegade. And if you know your bonus tracks, he's a sleeper. But Georgia's got some more heat under the hood, like the guy that's on your screen right now. And this is what makes the blueprint so right. Lawson Lucky is song cry. He's elegant, technical, and quietly devastating because he had 21 first downs and touchdowns last year. That ranked fifth among SEC tight ends. He is the guy that's going to move the chains without you noticing, just like Songcry. Then on the other side, we got Oscar Delt. He's takeover on this props project. Just relentless, consistent. He boasted a 99th percentile separation rate across his entire career. Do not let this tight end room fool you. They are dogs literally and figuratively. Like this kid moves like a glorified slot, but he looks like a linebacker. And he's gonna just tear people up. CFB Nation key metric. Noah Thomas had 9 contested catches in 2024, year of our Lord. And he's gonna show off that elite red zone size this year for the Georgia Bulldogs. Coming up next in the show. Clemson. Clemson is the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And I thought hard about this one because I needed something that was timeless, deep, built around growth, heartbreak, and generational talent. Lauryn Hill dropped one album and it changed her life forever. Clemson could win one national championship in this era and it changed their entire program trajectory forever. Let's get deeper into it. Dabo. There was a time when Clemson felt like wide receiver U. Just think about it. Like they had Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Ross, T. Higgins, Hunter Renfro. But lately it felt like the volume kind of dipped on the track a little bit and the rhythm just stuttered just a little bit. And I don't say that the Tigers fall off by any stretch of the imagination. I just feel like they had to find a beat again. In 2025, though, this feels like a studio session with Lauryn Hill back on the mic. And that's why I deem them the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Because the voice starts with Brian Wesco Jr. He is Zion on this album. It's all about pure potential, emotional gravity. He sits with you. Only Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams had more receiving yards among true freshmen than Bryant Wesco's 707 yards in 2024, year of our Lord. He's not out there just running routes, though, bro. He's not out there just running routes. He's out there telling stories on the mic. And you see that body control, you see that balance, you see the presence that he commands in the room when he steps on the field. He is the kind of artist who silences the room without raising any volume. He is that guy. And then alongside of him, you got TJ Moore, the 5-star who actually played like it. I call TJ Moore doo-wop, aka that thing, because he is explosive, he's danceable, and bold enough to challenge any DB that steps into his lane thinking that it's sweet. TJ Moore racked up 650 yards as a true freshman and showed flashes of wide receiver one brilliance in big moments in 2024 for Clemson. He is somebody that I am labeling one of the signature tracks on this piece. Then there's Antonio Williams. I called Antonio Williams on the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. He's lost ones. He's underrated, polished, emotionally charged. He tied for third in the Power Four with 11 receiving touchdowns last year. He is the anchor of this project, of this classical piece. And the reminder that not every track has to be flashy in order for it to be powerful and legendary. This trio that we just talked about is special, and it's not just about talent, it's timing. You had the quarterback situation in it, and things start to look really magical for Clemson Tigers. But this wide receivers, the three that I mentioned, they have a different, they're different receivers, but they have a harmony that works together in perfection because they didn't go to the portal. They said, nah, we're going to develop. It's not about hype machines and all of that stuff. This is a wide receiver group that was built the slow burn way, the right way. I needed an album that was like gritty, unorthodox, and assembled from many corners of the earth, but unified under one goal and one mission. Enter the Wu Clan, enter the Wu Tang, 36 chambers. The team that fits that the most for me this year is Penn State. Think about it. The signature track on this album is what? Protect Your Neck. That is Kyron Hudson in a nutshell. Cream, cash rules everything around me. Trevor Pena. But don't skip because the tight ends are like expected deck because they are precise, powerful, and often underappreciated. You want stars, you want flash, you want TikTok touchdowns. You should just go somewhere else because Penn State's wide receiver room in 2025 is built like a Shaolin dojo. No glitz, just grit. And they got smacked in the mouth by mediocre wide receiver play over the last few years. But now James Franklin said, bro, enough is enough. So he called the portal and dialed it and said, hey, Trevor, you trying to come? Kyron, you trying to come? 3 transfers with 3 different skill sets, 1 singular goal. Sound familiar? Let's start with Kyron Hudson. The USC bruiser who plays like he got Raekwon shoulders. He's tied for 4th in the Big Ten with 13 contested catches in 2024. Every single rep is going to be a fight. Every catch is going to feel like it's earned. He is the definition of protect your neck. The kind of wide receiver who's going to win ugly on 3rd downs. And when it's 3rd down and 7 and the rain is pouring and going sideways, you can bet on Kyron Hudson to show up and make that catch. Protect your neck. Trevor Pena, committed from Syracuse, where he didn't just catch passes, he made crime scenes. And the man went nuclear in 2024. With Kyle McCord as his quarterback, he had 475 yards after the catch, and that ranked top 10 among power forward receivers the last year. He's the wide receiver I'm looking at. That's cream of this group. Cash rules everything around me. Why? Because it's always moving. He is always quietly productive and cashing in when it matters. Dollar bills, y'all. Devontae Ross from Troy, he is the sleeper on the album. The mystery of chess boxing on Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. He's unpredictable, dangerous, and he's carrying 1,050 receiving yards from last season at Troy. That was 7th best in the group of 5. He's not a household name yet, but he will be. And while Tyler Warren left for the NFL, this staff didn't just reload. They quietly brought in a tight end room that's full of top 5 recruits. And from the past 3 cycles, they got some talent, man. Plus, they got veteran Khalil Dinkins, who feels like the RZA of this group. Not loud, but he's a foundational piece in this tight end core. 100%. CFB Nation key metric. Devontae Ross had 1,050 receiving yards at Troy last season, and that ranked number 7th in G5. The man is a dog. I try to tell you. Coming up next, I needed ruthless ambition. I needed chips on my shoulder. I needed fire in the booth. And I thought to myself, who fits this better than the University of Alabama Roll Tide Roll? Ryan Williams is what up gangster, 100%. Freshman monster bravado. But let's break it down to you the old-fashioned way. You talk about the Crimson Tide and the elephant. You hear the footsteps before you see the fire that comes up. Now, I'm trying to tell you, just because Nick Saban left don't mean that the dynasty just died. I feel like the dynasty evolved. And the 2025 version of Alabama's receiving core is going to walk in with that hooded energy, just like G Unit. And they're going to have that swagger and bravado that you need in 2025. Because they don't care about your predictions and you got them winning only 8 games. They don't care that you crown somebody else like Oklahoma or anybody else like that. They're just going to show up and then they're going to rob your Saturday afternoon one route at a time. And it starts with this kid on the screen. Yes, Ryan Williams. Freshman? Nah, he was a phenom. He posted 865 receiving yards, and that was 2nd among all FBS freshmen in the last 3 seasons. Only Jeremiah Smith had more. But if you're talking about straight ball talking, not just stats, it's how he moves on the field. It's when he strikes. He's what up gangster on the album. Straight out the gate. He lets you know what it is. Letting the SEC know that it's not sweet over here at all. Then comes Jeremy Bernard, the steady flame. PFF had him as one of the 25 most valuable receivers last year in college football. To me, he's in the club because every third down, every dig route, he is there waiting with the bottle because it's time to turn up 100%. And then there's Isaiah Horton, who is not going to yell like Moon does sometimes. He just hurts you surgically. He tied ninth in the ACC with 38 combined first downs and touchdowns. To me, that's many men. Silent, violent, and praying for your DB's health. Many men. This group doesn't just ask for your respect, bro. They're going to take it from you. Bar for bar, play for play. It's that kind of blend of raw athleticism, portal gold, and coaching staff that isn't trying to mimic the past, bro. Ryan Grubb is coming out here for next. They out here rewriting the future in 808s and touchdowns. CFB Nation key metric. Ryan Williams had 865 yards in 2024. More than any FBS freshman not named Jeremiah Smith. Man, we're going to go crazy with Ty Simpson. I needed an album that was swagger, survival, spotlight. Look no further. All eyes on me. Think about it. It's the Texas Longhorns. When you wear that burnt orange, it's not just about winning. It's about carrying the weight of everybody's expectations, from the fans to the haters to the media. And in 2025, there is no team in college football that walks into the season with more eyes on them than the Texas Longhorns. But like Tupac stepping out of jail and straight into the rap booth and in rap history, this Texas wide receiver core ain't flinching against nobody. And they know that the lights is coming. And they welcome all the noise and they welcome all the smoke. And it starts with this kid, Ryan Wingo, the sophomore sensation. He is ambitions as a rider of this offense. Gritty, explosive, confident, and with something real to prove. Last year, he racked up 270 yards after the catch, fifth most among true freshmen. And this year, he is built to break out. You can feel it. You can see it. I can see it. I know you can feel it. And when he hits that second gear, it is over. You might as well just go start walking back to the sideline. He is like that verse that's building toward a hook, and you already know when it drops, it's going to hit every single time. Up next, DeAndre Moore. I call DeAndre Moore picture me rolling because he's smooth, strategic, and under-discussed. He caught 7 out of 11 contested targets in 2024, and he lived in separation lanes. He was in the 92nd percentile in separation rate. He's the type of receiver that defensive coordinators don't game plan for until it's already too late, and you can't do anything about it. The scoreboard is already lit up. And while you have plenty of stars in Texas, they just kept stacking behind the scenes, and they have 2 of the most underrated portal additions in the country. And it feels like underrated cuts on the album, All Eyes on Me. Insert Emmett Mosley the fifth from Stanford, who had 8 contested catches last season, second only to Jeremiah Smith among Power 4 true freshmen. They also added Jack Andrews from Cal, who had 1,000 yards over the last 2 seasons. He leads all returning Power 4 tight ends in yards over that time span. He's the 2 of America's most wanted piece. The tight end that turns short routes into explosive plays, and he can line up anywhere, and it makes him just as dangerous. CFB Nation key metric for you before we move on. Emmett Mosley the fifth had 8 contested catches in 2024. That was second among Power 4 true freshmen, only behind Jeremiah Smith. The next one, I needed a team that was explosive, Southern genius, built around layered talent, and they had iconic one-liners that we always remember. The team that matches this bar for bar in just pure unmatched skill, look no further than the LSU Tigers out there in Baton Rouge. Let's get this out the way first and foremost. LSU is not recreating the 2019 Magic. This is not Joe Burrow. This is not Chase and Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall. It's not that. But what it is, though, is an assembly and a mixtape of madness that we have for you. You see this kid? This is Aaron Anderson, the veteran. He's a blur on the field. He's back to remind people that Louisiana speed hits different. It's something in the water. Last season, he ranked up 58 yards per catch, or after the catch, I should say. And that was second most in the SEC. I'm looking at Aaron Anderson, and there's so many times on film that he just pops off because he comes in clutch for you. For me, he is the three-peat of this album. Consistent, fast, dangerous, always going to show up. He might not say too much, though, but every time he touches that thing, something wild is about to happen. Then you got Barry and Brown, who comes in from Kentucky with breakaway juice. Anybody that's watched Barry and Brown play, he's Mr. Carter on the album, but just with a different area code. Because from day one, he's been the type of guy who could take a jet sweep 75 yards to the apartments, hit your head on the goalpost, or he could take a drag route and turn it into a foot race. You add more speed, and since 2022, he's got 805 yards after catch. That's seventh most in the SEC. I'm sitting here looking at this team like, yo, speed. And it reminds me so much of the Carter 3. And you think it stops there? No. They also brought in Nick Anderson, who can stretch the field vertically. He only played 9 snaps in 2024 due to injury, but back in 2023, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns on deep throws alone. That's let the beat build, because he is a deep ball specialist with surgical stride. And I look at let the beat build, you can always feel something cooking, but when it drops, it drops. But here's what makes this wide receiver room different. It's the tight end, the alien, Trey Green. Remember the name, because he's not just a sophomore. This man is a main event. He is a former 5-star who is 6'7". He has glue traps for hands, and he did not drop a single pass last year. As a true freshman, he led all freshman tight ends with a 69.9 PFF receiving grade. I looked at the checklist. That matches phone home 100% because he's alien vibes. No one in the Power 4 has a higher ceiling than this kid. You talk about genuine, raw athleticism and just freakish, like, potential. Nobody. They don't need 12 different weapons. They got 3 receivers and a tight end who can each take over the game for you. That is 100% the Carter 3. I needed a album that was dual brilliance, art meeting attacking, Southern poetic violence. Look no further than the Auburn Tigers. No team in the country flipped their receiver room and the narrative around their receiver room quicker than Auburn did. Because this isn't 2023 anymore. Hugh Freeze has everybody rooting for him now, and we pray for his health here at CFB Nation. But that man pulled out the pen and he rewrote what he wanted in his wish list for what his wide receiver core could be. Dear Santa, I want a kid from Georgia Tech that is an absolute stud who can beat man-to-man coverage and is smart enough to just toast defenders when they trying to play him off. Enter Eric Singleton, who can be on the side of Cam Coleman. This guy, they got 2 guys that bounce off of each other. It's a poetic rhythm that goes with it. We'll start with Cam. He's the prodigy. Top 5 recruit, 6'4", floating. To me, Aquemini, he would be Return of the G because he's not just flashy, but he's dangerous. Like he's been waiting for this since 2022, since he stepped on campus. I'm sitting here thinking the final 3 games of 2024, this man had 306 yards and 6 total touchdowns. And I'm supposed to think that he's not about to jet in 2025. Cam Coleman is out for blood in 2025. He erupted. And then his sidekick, Eric Singleton Jr. I already talked about him a lot because I watched him up close last 2 years at Georgia Tech. Things get complicated when you start mentioning Eric Singleton Jr., not because he's just a complicated player, but he puts defenders in binds and makes them get demoted roster spots. He got burners for days. And when I look at this track list on the Aquemini, I feel like he is skewed on the Barbie because he has track speed that turned into football intelligence, and he's finally putting it all together. 664 deep receiving yards since 2023. That's the most among all Power 4 receivers. He ranks as a top 5 wideout nationally, but he actually walks like it though. He don't blink, he don't flinch, he don't stutter, he just cooks. And that's what you need to know. If you've never seen this kid play, he just cooks. He actually got it before he walked out the door. He got a chance to face Georgia again and see what it's like being in the SEC. And it takes a certain type of dog to run to the fire. He said, no, I'm not going to P4. I'm like, no, I'm going to the SEC. That's what we're looking like. It reminds me of Andre 3 Stacks and Big Boy with Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr., the dynamic duo. That's why I paired them with Aquemini. Because everything that's going to be this year in 2025 is going to be complementary chaos for Hugh Freeze. Because Auburn, their wide receiver room has layers. And it doesn't just stop there. Because they got Perry Thompson. And I call him Spotty Yachty Dopalicious. Underrated. Smoother than a Sunday jump down. He is smooth like butter. Smooth like running in with no traffic on I-85 on a Sunday morning. That man is smooth like bourbon. Malcolm Simmons is going to bring some twitch. He's going to bring some flash, some bravado. Bryce Kane, he's going to bring that vertical explosion that Auburn needs so much. And then they landed Wake Forest transfer Horatio Fields, who I'm looking at as like that underlying vinyl crackle that you feel when you're listening to a vinyl, that crackle, that's him. Because it showcases the importance that every frequency matters in this situation. This isn't just a top heavy room. Auburn's wide receiver room is a psychedelic southern wave of matchups that they're going to be able to throw out there every week and say, I got multiple dudes in multiple dimensions. I got an alien and a kid that has bars for days. Which one you want to pick? Because we can turn this into an international players anthem really quick. And this is all behind the offense with a new quarterback at the helm in Jackson Arnold. So I have great projections for Auburn's receiving core. CFB Nation Q metric. Auburn's Cam Coleman, 6 touchdowns and 306 yards in the final 3 games of 2024 was magical and the signs of a true breakout that's here to come. They're trying to get that sophomore and junior curve going on and be ahead of the curve. Let's wrap it all up for you. In this essay where I try to tell you about ball mixed with sonic explosion, we actually got a chance to orchestrate a discography of college football's most electric pass catching units that I have high expectations for in 2025, year of our Lord. And every program is going to carry a certain sound with them in 2025. Some are going to spit like the Carter 3. It might not be the Carter 6. This is what sparked this whole thought process for me, because I said there's no way the Carter 6 could be that bad. The Carter 3 though slaps. That's like LSU's wide receiver room this year. Some float like Equimini, like Auburn's receiving core. Some are like raw mixtapes. Others are polished classics. But at the end of the day, all of them, they're chasing that one moment on the 4th down and 8 when the ball is in the air and the stadium all holds their breath, because it's not about who has the best wideouts. It's about who's got the next classic in the vault. This is CFB Nation. I am your boy Moan. And in 2025, the wide receiver rooms aren't just depth charts, they're albums. And only the timeless ones, only the timeless wide receiver cores will echo past Saturdays and into the future of the sport, and that give us something to think about for real. Thank you for listening to my essay. Hey, bro, I'm really going into a different lane right now, man. Yo, bro, it's been a jam-packed show. Let's wind it down. All right. I went for 2 hours straight cash ball talk. You know what I mean? But that's the type of content that we get on the episode where we talked about the island of misfit coaches and everything going on in the Conference USA, from the NCAA settlement that's over $2.8 billion, schools now being able to have $20.5 million cap that you can spend. Things are different, drastically different in this age of college football. We talked about that. We talked about the Big 12 and the reboots, re-emergence of the Big 12, and what to expect a little bit for every single team in the conference. And also for the feature segment where we compared wide receiver rooms across the country to classic albums and try to draw the parallel that music is something that affects everything, including college football. And I want those people that don't watch college football to be able to understand. So on a Saturday, when you watching Ryan Williams, you be like, dang, bro, Moon did say, like, that's get rich or die trying. They got that bravado. They got that big chain energy. They might not be wearing the chains in the locker room right now, but that's the energy that Alabama has. Roll Tide, right? We try to make it all make sense to you, because we know that everybody's on a college football fan or a watcher or anything like that. Some people are new to this experience. Some people are old to this experience, but need it presented to them in a new and refreshing way. And we try to do that on World of College Football. So for a jam-packed show where I went exactly how long I wanted to, because I was looking at 2 hours. Like, this was going to be a banger. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you share it with somebody. Make them a college football fan and tell them about what we got going on at CFB Nation. We greatly appreciate you, man, for soaking up the content and being a part of the 1% club. If you're out here watching the content right now, you're a part of the 1% club. And until next time, my friend, there's so much controversy, madness, and chaos going on in this wonderful world of college football. And here on this podcast, we try to spotlight it all. So if you lace them up, put on the cleats and the shoulder pads, chances are your boy Moon gonna talk about it. And on the next episode, we'll continue this conversation. Shake my hand. For another great episode in the books, your boy Moon signing out. Until next time, my friend, stay wavy.